When you truly start to love yourself, the first and most powerful realization is that your worth isn't built from what others say about you, but from what you quietly whisper to your own heart when no one else is around. So many women spend their whole lives trying to be loved, trying to be seen, trying to be enough for someone else. But have you ever stopped long enough to realize that no matter how loud the applause may sound, if you don't believe in your own worth, it always feels hollow? Because love that comes only from the outside will never last. But love that grows from within you becomes unshakable. It's so easy to confuse approval with worth. When someone praises you, you feel light. When they ignore you, you feel invisible. When they turn away, you feel shattered. But that isn't love. That's dependence disguised as validation. To truly love yourself, you must stop measuring your value through someone else's eyes. You have to build a home inside yourself so steady that even if the whole world goes silent, your heart still hums softly. Think about how fragile life becomes when your sense of worth is placed in someone else's hands. A single word can lift you, and another can break you. And in that endless chase for acceptance, you forget the most precious truth. You were already worthy the day you were born. You never had to earn it. You only need to remember it. The sad part is that many women spend years trying to gather love like trophies, thinking it will make them complete. But no number of trophies can fill the space inside a heart that hasn't learned to love itself first. When you finally love yourself, the world stops feeling like a battlefield where you fight for attention. It becomes a blank canvas where you can paint your true colors freely. You stop competing for love, and instead you begin to glow with it. You no longer beg for space in someone's heart, because your own heart has finally become your home. This isn't arrogance. It's quiet power. The kind no rejection can crush, no judgment can shrink. Many women fear being alone, not because silence is unbearable, but because in that silence they come face to face with themselves. And for some, that reflection feels like a stranger. They've spent so much time being who others wanted them to be, that they've forgotten how to just be who they are. But when you dare to meet yourself with honesty, when you look into your own eyes without fear or filters, you see something extraordinary. You realize that what you've been chasing has always been right here within you. Loving yourself begins with trust. Trust that even when everything falls apart, you still matter. Trust that even when no one chooses you, you still deserve to be chosen by yourself. It's about building such a deep relationship with your soul that no storm can shake it. People will come and go. Opinions will rise and fade. But your worth must stay steady, untouched by the tides. And remember, real self-worth doesn't shout. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't need to convince anyone. It's quiet. It's calm. It's the gentle light that stays when everything else fades away. And once you find that light, everything changes. Love stops being something you chase. It becomes something you radiate. When you don't love yourself, every rejection feels like a wound. Every silence feels like a scar. Every criticism feels like a mirror of your flaws. But when you do love yourself, all those things lose their grip on you. Rejection doesn't break you because it doesn't define you. Silence doesn't scare you because your own voice comforts you. Disapproval doesn't shrink you because your worth was never built on their approval to begin with. The greatest love story you will ever live is the one you have with yourself. And like all love stories, it begins with recognition. It begins the day you look at your reflection and whisper, I am enough. Not because anyone said it, not because the world gave permission, but because deep inside, you finally know that worthiness isn't earned, it simply exists. And when that truth settles deep into your bones, the world loses its power to control how you see yourself. People's opinions may still come, but they no longer stay. Their judgment may knock, but it cannot enter. Their approval may feel nice, but it's no longer needed. Because your worth now belongs only to you. This is the quiet revolution that begins when you stop searching for love outside and start remembering it inside. This is where true freedom begins. Because no one can ever take away a love that lives within you. When you begin to truly love yourself, something magical happens. You stop seeing your flaws as enemies and start seeing them as proof of your beautiful humanity. All your life, the world has taught you to hide the messy parts, to polish every corner, to erase every scar. You were told that love was only for the perfect, the women who never fall apart, never stumble, never cry. But the truth is the opposite. Real love isn't born from perfection. It's born from the soft acceptance of everything that makes you real. Every scar tells a story. Every crack in your being has shaped you into who you are. When you try to be flawless, you lose yourself behind masks and walls. You silence your own voice to fit into someone else's idea of beauty. But the price for that is too high. You lose touch with your own soul. Your imperfections are not mistakes. They are proof that you have lived, that you have loved, that you have dared to try. A scar doesn't make you less beautiful. It makes you more alive. A weakness doesn't make you less worthy. It makes you more real. There is quiet power in accepting yourself just as you are. It's the moment you stop needing to be perfect to deserve love. The world often teaches women that only polished faces and flawless hearts are lovable, that brokenness must be fixed before it's worthy. But have you noticed how the people who touch your heart most deeply are never the perfect ones? They are the ones who carry their scars with grace. It's not their perfection that inspires us. It's their truth. Their courage to be seen exactly as they are. When you stop hiding your imperfections, something changes. The energy you once used to pretend becomes the energy you use to live. Instead of avoiding the mirror, you meet your reflection with softness. Instead of wishing to be someone else, you finally say, "This is me." And in that moment, the heavy weight of perfection begins to fall away. The truth is, what you call imperfections are often the things that make you unforgettable. Your quirks, your laughter, your quiet fears, your uneven edges, they are the strokes of your unique beauty. To erase them is to erase your story. To embrace them is to finally step into your light. Loving your imperfections doesn't mean giving up on growing. It means growing from love, not from shame. True change is born from compassion, not from self-criticism. When you accept yourself, you create space to evolve gently. You stop running away from yourself and start blooming where you stand. And that is far more powerful than perfection could ever be. You may have spent years believing your flaws made you unlovable, that people would only stay if you hid the messy parts of your heart. But the truth is, the ones who truly love you will love you not in spite of those flaws, but because of them. And most importantly, you must love those parts first. Because when you do, you stop needing someone else to make you whole. You already are. Perfection is fragile. It cracks under pressure. But imperfection is alive. It bends, it breathes, it endures. When you embrace it, fear loses its hold. You stop fearing failure, judgment, and not being enough, because you finally understand you were never meant to be flawless. You were meant to be human. There is beauty in letting go of the need to fix yourself. You don't have to heal everything before you're allowed to love yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out to deserve gentleness. You can be a work in progress and still be worthy. You can be broken in places and still whole in spirit. The moment you begin to accept yourself as you are, you give yourself permission to breathe fully. You stop waiting for the day you'll be enough. You start living now. You stop apologizing for being human. You stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You realize that your worth was never tied to how smooth your edges are. When you hold your imperfections with love, you become unshakable. No one can use your flaws against you when you've already embraced them. No criticism can hurt you more than your own compassion can heal you. No rejection can shake a heart rooted in self-love. You become free, not because you are perfect, but because you are fearless about being real. And when you walk through life with that kind of acceptance, something beautiful unfolds. The masks drop. The walls soften. The world finally meets the real you. And the real you is always enough. Because true love, the kind that lasts, begins when you look at your imperfections not as burdens, but as treasures. That is where your power lies. Every word you speak to yourself is a seed. Those seeds quietly shape how you see the world and how you see yourself. Your inner voice is always whispering, sometimes softly, sometimes harshly, and that voice becomes the lens through which you live. If that voice is cruel, no amount of praise will bring you peace. But if it's kind, even silence from others can't shake your strength. That's why learning to speak to yourself as someone you love is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect. Many women are gentle with others, but merciless with themselves. They give compassion to friends, forgiveness to strangers, but when they make a mistake, they turn into their own harshest critic. Their inner voice says things no one else ever would. And slowly, that voice becomes a cage, convincing them they're not enough, not worthy, not deserving. But you are. You always were. And the moment you start speaking to yourself with kindness, everything begins to change. That voice inside you isn't the truth. It's only a habit. It's the echo of fears and judgments picked up over time, repeated so often that it starts to sound real. You can't quiet that voice by force. You have to heal it with love. Imagine for a moment that you're talking to a dear friend, someone you truly care about. If she stumbled, would you say the same harsh things you say to yourself? Would you call her weak, useless, or broken? Of course not. You would hold her hand. You would remind her of her strength. You would tell her she can rise again. And yet, how easily do you forget to offer yourself that same softness? The way you speak to yourself doesn't just reflect how you feel. It shapes how you live. When that inner voice is filled with judgment, your confidence slowly fades. You start to believe the lies it whispers. You begin to shrink your dreams, play small, and hide your light just to fit inside the cage your mind has built. But when your inner voice becomes kind, when it speaks like a loving friend instead of a critic, everything begins to shift. You start to trust yourself again. You move differently. You breathe more freely. You live more fully. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about creating a gentle space inside where you're allowed to be human. A place where mistakes are lessons, not punishments. A place where failure doesn't define your worth, but guides your growth. Speaking kindly to yourself isn't weakness. It's real strength, because it means you've stopped letting fear decide the tone of your inner world. For years, many women have been taught that being hard on themselves is the only way to grow. That discipline comes through criticism. But cruelty never inspires growth. It only feeds fear. It makes you move not from love, but from shame. And shame never builds anything lasting. True growth begins the moment you feel safe within yourself. And safety begins with kindness. Your mind is like a garden, and your words are the water. When you water it with doubt and harshness, weeds grow. But when you water it with patience and love, beauty blooms. A flower doesn't bloom because someone yelled at it. It blooms because it was cared for. The same is true for you. When your inner voice softens, your strength begins to blossom quietly. Listen closely to how you speak to yourself when no one's around. Do you lift yourself up or tear yourself down? The words you whisper in the dark shape the light of your days. If every morning starts with self-criticism, your world feels smaller. If it starts with self-acceptance, it opens wide. This change doesn't happen overnight. It grows slowly, like learning a new rhythm. The old voice will try to return, loud and familiar. But each time, you have a choice to fight it or to meet it with compassion. You can say, I hear you, but I will not speak to myself that way anymore. Slowly, your mind learns to trust this new tone. Slowly, kindness replaces cruelty. The voice you nurture inside becomes the foundation of the life you create outside. When that voice turns gentle, you no longer chase constant approval just to feel whole. You stop seeking love in places that drain you because you already carry it within. You stop fearing rejection because you no longer reject yourself. You stop shrinking to please others because you finally speak your own truth with clarity. The most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. Every relationship is built through words. If those words are harsh, your inner world becomes a battlefield. If they are kind, it becomes a home. Imagine living in a mind where you're no longer at war with yourself. Imagine waking up to a voice that believes in you, encourages you, and reminds you of your power. That's what real self-love feels like. You don't need to wait for the world to treat you gently before you treat yourself gently. You don't have to earn your own love. You just need to offer it the way you've always offered it to others. Because when you become your own best friend, the world's noise starts to fade. Your worth stops depending on outside approval and begins to flow from within. And when your inner voice finally learns to speak with tenderness, everything begins to change. There's something quietly powerful about realizing that not everything deserves your energy. People guard their time like treasure, but they forget that energy is even more precious. Time can be counted, but energy decides the quality of every moment. When your energy is scattered, drained, or spent on things that don't nourish your soul, even the best days feel empty. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's a sacred act of self-respect. There will always be people and situations trying to claim your energy. Some will sound gentle, wrapped in duty or care. Others will be loud and demanding. But saying yes to everything is the fastest way to lose yourself. When you give too much of your energy to what doesn't feed your spirit, one day you wake up feeling hollow. Not because you've done nothing, but because you've done everything except care for yourself. You have the right to choose what enters your inner space. You have the right to say no without guilt, to rest without apology, to walk away without explanation. Yet so many women stay in spaces that drain them because they fear disappointing others. They keep giving, not out of love, but out of habit. And slowly, they fade from their own lives. When you protect your energy, you start hearing your own voice again. In all the noise, your truth can get buried. But in the quiet, your soul begins to speak. You remember what matters. You feel what truly nourishes you. You realize that your worth isn't measured by how much you give away, but by how deeply you honor yourself. Endless giving isn't love. It's exhaustion disguised as kindness. When you give until nothing is left, that's not devotion, it's neglect. To love yourself is to understand that your energy is sacred, and anything sacred deserves to be protected, not from fear, but from deep respect. Some people won't understand your boundaries. Some moments will feel uncomfortable. But discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're breaking old patterns. For too long, you may have believed your value came from sacrifice. But the truth is, the more you protect your energy, the more your love becomes real. Giving from emptiness drains the soul. Giving from fullness lights it up. The world will always pull at you, not because it's cruel, but because it doesn't know your limits. You have to teach it. If you don't protect your energy, no one will. People will take as much as you allow, often without realizing it. It's not their job to draw the line. It's yours. Your energy is like a flame. If you let every breeze blow through it, it fades. But if you guard it, it glows steady and warm. It lights your path and can even light others without burning out. Protecting your energy doesn't mean closing your heart. It means choosing carefully who and what gets access to your light. The simplest way to know what drains or lifts you is to listen. Some conversations leave you lighter, others heavier. Some places feel freeing, others feel like chains. Your body always knows. Your intuition always whispers. But you must be brave enough to listen. Loving yourself means trusting that whisper, knowing your peace matters more than pleasing anyone. It's not selfish to walk away from what hurts your spirit. It's not unkind to choose silence over noise. It's wisdom. And the more you honor that wisdom, the more alive you become. When you guard your energy, you don't become colder. You become clearer. You stop scattering yourself and start walking in the direction of your truth. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every battle deserves your fight. Not every storm deserves your presence. Some things are best left outside the gates of your heart, because inside is where your peace lives. When your peace is protected, life begins to fall into place. When you treat your energy as precious, the world learns to do the same. The people who truly value you will stay. The ones who only came to take will drift away. What remains will be real. What remains will be enough. And in that stillness, your soul finally breathes, grows, and shines without fear. Because loving yourself isn't just about accepting who you are. It's about protecting the space where that self can grow. The journey of self-love isn't a single moment of awakening. It's a gentle daily choice. Many women believe they must reach perfection before they can feel worthy. But real love for yourself doesn't arrive in a sudden flash. It grows slowly, like sunlight spilling into a quiet room. It's built through small acts of forgiveness, moments of patience, and courage to begin again. Perfection lies. It tells you to fix everything before you can feel good enough. It whispers that you must achieve more, heal more, be more before you deserve kindness. And so you waiting to feel worthy of your own love. But perfection never comes. It's a shadow that keeps moving. Real self-love begins the day you stop chasing it and start choosing yourself, just as you are, here and now. And in that endless race to be enough, life quietly slips through your fingers. But progress is different. It's honest. It doesn't ask you to become someone else. It only asks you to take one more step just as you are. It knows that growth doesn't happen in sudden leaps, but in steady moments of trying again. It lets you stumble without shame, begin again without guilt. When you choose progress over perfection, you finally give yourself permission to live instead of waiting for some perfect version of yourself to feel worthy. Every day, there will be moments when you can either scold yourself for not being there yet, or thank yourself for still moving forward. Those moments shape the kind of bond you build with your own heart. When you chase perfection, every mistake feels like proof that you're not enough. Every wrong turn feels like failure. But when you honor progress, even the smallest step becomes sacred. Even on the days when all you can do is breathe through the storm, you're still growing. There will be days you fall back into old patterns. days when doubt comes creeping in, mornings when your reflection feels unfamiliar and your inner voice is far from kind. In those moments, perfection will tell you to judge yourself, but progress will whisper, keep going. Keep showing up, even if your hands are shaking. Keep believing, even when your heart feels tired. Loving yourself isn't about always being strong. It's about allowing yourself to be human. It's forgiving yourself 1,000 times, not because you're weak, but because you're learning. Real love is patient. It doesn't run away when things get messy. It stays. It takes root in the imperfect soil of your life and finds a way to bloom there. The world claps for big transformations, but real change is often quiet. It lives in the small choices no one sees. The moment you choose to speak kindly to yourself instead of tearing yourself down, the moment you decide to rest instead of pushing through your exhaustion, the moment you allow yourself to feel joy without guilt. These tiny acts become the foundation for something unshakable. When you fall into the trap of perfection, self-love feels far away because perfection demands performance. It says you're only worthy when you succeed, but progress softly reminds you, you are worthy because you are trying. And that gentle whisper is where freedom begins. When you stop trying to earn your own love, you begin to give it freely. It's not weakness to be a work in progress. It's strength to keep growing when no one notices, to keep standing when no one's watching, to keep believing when no one's cheering. You don't need to arrive anywhere to be worthy. You are worthy right here, in the middle of it all. Every small act of kindness toward yourself is a step toward a love that can never be taken away. Life doesn't move in straight lines. There will be pauses, detours, and moments of doubt, but every step matters. Even the backward ones teach you something. Even your confusion deepens your understanding. When you stop treating your journey as a race to perfection and start seeing it as a dance with progress, you begin to find peace in the process itself. Those who wait for perfection rarely begin. But those who choose progress build something real. Progress is gentle, it forgives. It allows you to grow at your own rhythm. It doesn't punish you for being human. It holds your hand through the storms instead of judging you for getting wet. Self-love becomes real not when you have it all figured out, but when you choose to love yourself through the figuring out. It's in the quiet courage of showing up for yourself each day, even when the world doesn't notice. It's in the softness of allowing your flaws to exist without letting them define you. It's in the stillness of realizing that being unfinished is not failure. It's a miracle. Every sunrise gives you another chance to choose progress, to forgive yourself for yesterday, to be present today, to grow. Not because you must be perfect, but because you are alive and deserving. And when you choose progress again and again, you build something stronger than perfection ever could. You build a love that stays. There comes a time in every woman's life when she realizes that no amount of approval from others can replace the power of believing in herself. For years, she might wait for someone to see her worth, to notice her effort, to tell her she's enough. But the truth is, the world can love you deeply and still not make you feel whole if you haven't learned to love yourself. The day you stop waiting for someone else to clap for you is the day you become free. We grow up being taught to please. From childhood, we're rewarded when others smile at us and ignored when they don't. Over time, we learn that our worth is measured by how others react. And so, we perform. We shape ourselves to fit the expectations around us. But that kind of life is fragile because the applause can stop anytime. And when it does, the silence can break you. To truly love yourself is to stand in your own corner, even when no one else does. It's not arrogance. It's quiet truth. It's knowing your worth doesn't vanish just because no one is watching. It's learning to clap for yourself even when the room is empty. When you become your own supporter, you stop shrinking to fit in. You stop performing just to be accepted. You begin to speak with your real voice, and that voice no longer trembles in silence. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's built moment by moment. Every time you trust yourself instead of doubting, every time you take a step without waiting for permission. There will be times when others won't understand your path. You'll stand alone with your dream, your truth, your heart. The old habit will whisper, wait until someone believes in you first. But real strength whispers back, I already believe. When that belief becomes your foundation, you no longer fear silence. You don't need approval to feel worthy. Supporting yourself doesn't mean rejecting love. It means you no longer depend on it to survive. Others' praise becomes a melody you enjoy, not air you need to breathe. And that changes everything. Because once you stop fearing silence, you become unshakable. Life will test you with quiet seasons. There will be times when no one sees your effort, no one hears your voice, no one understands your journey. But those are the moments that grow your strength the most.